the dim glow of starlight reflected off the polished alloy of the spaceport, casting a soft shimmer over the sprawling docking bay. Lieutenant Commander Elias Thorne, a veteran of countless skirmishes along the Orion Rim, stepped down from the transport shuttle with the practiced ease of a man who had spent most of his adult life in zero-gravity combat zones. His grey eyes, sharp and cautious, scanned the crowd for any hint of trouble. Trouble, he had learned, often arrived unannounced. Today, however, his mission was different. Not a skirmish, not an emergency extraction, not a tactical reconted day. He was on a blind date. A human friend of his, somewhat oblivious to the danger zones Elias usually frequented, had insisted, "You're too stubborn to meet anyone on your own. This one's perfect." Elias had grunted non-committally and taken the coordinates, expecting the worst. Some nervous alien diplomat's cousin, a nervous engineer, or worse, a holomodel programmed to simulate interest in him. Instead, when he reached the designated docking bay, he found her, a dragon woman, tall, scaled, and undeniably imposing. Her wings were furled against her back, shimmering in iridescent hues of sapphire and emerald. Her long tail curled slightly, tapping against the metal floor with a controlled grace. "Lieutenant Commander Thorne?" she asked, her voice a resonant, melodic rumble that carried effortlessly across the bay. "That's me," Elias replied, giving her a cautious nod. "And you are?" She smiled, exposing a row of gleaming, slightly pointed teeth. "Captain Zyra. I believe we're meeting for a date." Elias blinked. He had faced pirates, mercenary war bands, and even rogue AI drones capable of disassembling an armored frigate in seconds, but a dragon woman on a blind date. That was uncharted territory. Before he could respond, an alarm blared across the docking bay. A red light flashed on Zyra's ship, docked nearby a sleek, jagged-winged interceptor that looked like it had seen more than its fair share of battles. "She's been having engine troubles," the attendant said hurriedly. "Said she needed it fixed before her next jump. I didn't think she'd bring someone along." Elias' military instincts kicked in immediately. A damaged ship, a high-ranking dragon pilot. This was serious. "Step aside," he said, voice firm. "I'll handle it." Before Zyra could protest, or perhaps because of her trust in his obvious competency, Elias approached her ship. The diagnostic lights blinked erratically, a chaotic symphony of warnings that even trained engineers found unnerving. Yet, to Elias, it was familiar territory. He knelt beside the access panel, his hands moving over circuits and conduits with fluid precision, scanning the interface. "Your stabilizers are fried," he muttered. "Probably a sabotage attempt." Zyra's golden eyes narrowed. Sabotage. On a blind date. Elias smirked faintly, not looking up. "If you're a dragon pilot with a reputation like yours, you attract enemies. Not everyone appreciates your track record." Zyra leaned closer, wings flexing slightly. "And what track record is that?" "Let's just say," Elias said, his voice low, "you're the kind of pilot people either admire or fear. And the ones who fear you sometimes get creative." For a moment, the bay seemed to shrink around them. Sparks danced along the edge of the diagnostic panel, and Elias worked quickly, replacing damaged components and rewiring the power conduits. It was intricate, delicate work, requiring a calm mind and steady hands, both traits Elias had honed in countless missions across hostile star systems. Zyra watched him silently, fascinated by the ease with which he dismantled and rebuilt her ship's critical systems. Most humans she encountered were either terrified or clumsy with alien technology. Elias, however, moved as if the ship were an extension of his own body. "Why are you doing this?" she asked finally, her voice low, almost curious. "You don't know me. You don't owe me anything." Elias didn't look up. "I've learned that hesitation gets people killed. If someone asks for help, and I can give it, I do. Doesn't matter who they are." Zaira blinked slowly, processing his words. Most humans were reactive, unpredictable, even reckless. This one, he was steady, efficient, calm, and somehow unafraid. Hours seemed to pass in silence, broken only by the hum of machinery and the occasional beep of the diagnostic panel. When Elias finally stood and stepped back, wiping his hands on a rag, the ship powered up with a soft purr. The stabilizers hummed, the shields flickered to life, and the engines roared with renewed strength. "It's done," Elias said simply. Zaira's eyes gleamed. "Impressive. Few can repair a Mark 8 interceptor without months of training. You did it in hours." Elias shrugged, a modest gesture. "Years in the field. You learn tricks." She stepped closer, her tail brushing lightly against his leg in an almost imperceptible gesture of curiosity. "You're human, and yet you handle alien tech better than most of my own engineers. I should be wary of you." Elias raised an eyebrow, leaning casually against the ship. "Why are you afraid I'll steal it?" Zaira let out a low, rumbling laugh. "No, not steal it. You're not what I expected. Most humans are fragile, hesitant, predictable. You aren't. You're capable, and that is exactly why I fear you." Elias tilted his head, intrigued. "You fear me?" "Yes," Zaira admitted. "Because humans, because you survive where others fail. You endure. You adapt. You make impossible odds seem possible. And for someone like me, a dragon warrior accustomed to being the apex, threat meeting a human like you, it's unsettling." Elias chuckled, the sound low and surprisingly warm. "I've survived a lot of things, but fear, that's not usually my problem. I'd rather figure out a solution." Zaira studied him, and for the first time, the tension between them shifted into something new. Respect, curiosity, a hint of something neither wanted to admit. "Sit with me," she said abruptly, gesturing to a small observation deck overlooking the bay. "I think we need to talk before we go anywhere else." Elias followed, cautious but intrigued. As they sat, the stars spread out before them like a shimmering tapestry, and the silence between them was comfortable rather than tense. "You know," Elias began, breaking the quiet, "I didn't expect to find someone like you on a blind date. Not a dragon woman, not a ship that's seen more battles than I can count, and certainly not someone I should fear." Zaira's eyes softened, just slightly. "And yet, here we are. I'm still uneasy about you, Thorn." "Good," Elias said, a faint grin tugging at his lips. "Uneasy keeps you alert, keeps you alive, and I like alive people." She chuckled, the sound like a soft, rolling tide. "Alive? Yes. You humans have a way of surprising us. You endure things we consider impossible, and somehow you still smile, still fight, still repair ships on blind dates." Elias laughed, shaking his head. "It's what we do. We survive, we adapt, and sometimes we help others survive too." Zyra's gaze lingered on him, and for the first time, Elias saw vulnerability beneath her scales, something few ever glimpsed. The fear, she admitted, wasn't just of him, but of what he represented: resilience, determination, and the human capacity to face odds that dragons, no matter how powerful, sometimes underestimated. "I suppose," Zyra said finally, "we'll see if your human resilience can handle me beyond this docking bay." Elias leaned back, letting out a relaxed sigh. "If I can repair your ship without getting roasted alive, I think I can handle a dragon warrior on a date." They laughed together, the sound echoing through the observation deck, and for the first time, Elias realized something profound. This wasn't just a blind date. This was a meeting of equals, a test of trust, and perhaps the start of something neither had expected. As the stars stretched infinitely around them, Elias and Zyra shared a moment of quiet understanding. Two warriors from different worlds, brought together by chance, circumstance, and an unlikely blind date. And while Elias repaired ships for a living, he had just realized he might also be repairing something far more delicate: the fragile, hesitant trust between a dragon warrior and a human veteran, and perhaps, in time, the beginnings of a bond that could change both their worlds. Asterisk.